established 3 evacuation zones. The blue zone is within 20 kilometers radius. So there was the forced evacuation in this area. In the area in pink, more than 20 millisieverts per year dose was anticipated, and people in this area had to be evacuated within a certain period of time. The zone in yellow is an emergency evacuation preparation zone. Now, when it comes to decontamination, within the Japanese government, we had some discussion, and there was a decision made that the Ministry of Environment should be in charge back in August last year. Act on special measure concerning the handling of radioactive pollution was promulgated. The areas to be decontaminated were to be divided into 2. One is a special decontamination area. The dosage is high, and region designated as restricted zones. Therefore, there is no municipality functions and no longer people living there. And in this special decontamination area, the government of the national government will be responsible for decontamination. But in intensive contamination survey areas, the decontamination will have to be led by the municipalities, but the government will support in terms of resources. On the left is a special decontamination area. This covers both pink and yellow areas. There are 11 municipalities in this area, and we are putting together a plan for respective areas. And once the plans are ready, we will start implementing the decontamination activities. For intensive contamination survey area, there are 104 municipalities that have been designated as intensive contamination survey area. The detailed survey of pollution will be conducted in each of these areas, and based on this survey, the municipalities will put together, in consultation with the MOE, decontamination plan, and the decontamination plan will be the basis of implementation of decontamination activities in this area. To show on the left, you have the entire area. There are 8 different prefectures. In the pink area, the national government will implement decontamination. In yellow, the municipalities will conduct decontamination. This is our basic approach to decontamination. ICRP's 2007 recommendation is the basis in conducting decontamination in Japan. That is to say, aiming to reduce exposure dose to 20 millisievert per year or less. But for areas with dosage of more than 50 millisievert or more, further technological development is awaited for. So by conducting demonstration projects, we are to focus on developing necessary technologies. For areas with 20 millisievert a year or less, we have a long-term objective of 1 millisievert. In addition to these targets, we have interim targets for the next 2 years. 50% reduction for general public. For children, we are to reduce estimated annual exposure of children by 60% in 2 years. In order to implement decontamination activities, obviously, we have a significant budget. For fiscal 2011, we have 464 billion yen budget, and the same level of budget is appropriate for in fiscal 2012. This is institutional arrangements. Not only the staff of Ministry of Environment, but that is not sufficient. Therefore, we opened our office in Fukushima anew, and already 300 people are working at Fukushima office together with 60 in Tokyo headquarters. We have close to 400 staff members that are working in this area.
Now, let me go into the progress report. In January this year, the national government is responsible for the certain areas, and we have announced the roadmap for the district where the national government will be responsible for decontamination. Based upon the dose levels, there will be a prioritization, 20 millisievert or less, and areas with 20 to 50 millisievert per year. The priorities are placed in these areas. The plan is in 2 years, the houses as well as schools and hospitals and roads as well as the farmlands are to be decontaminated. Areas with 50 or more millisievert per year, for now, there will be demonstration works. And as you can see at the bottom, there should be temporary storage, the stockyard, where the contaminated soil and so forth are to be kept. We need to be given consent of the local residents in trying to select the sites. Now, for the short term, for about 6 months, starting from January, this is a roadmap for the short term. We have the plan set in place. Of the 11 municipalities, for 5, the plan is already formulated. As you can see, for the demonstration projects, we would like to develop the relevant technology on the way. And in the third column, you see preparatory work. Before having full-fledged decontamination, we need to make a preparation, for instance, for municipal offices, building, as well as infrastructure such as expressways, and also water and sewage works and facilities. For these facilities, we need to have preparatory work done in advance. And in the near future, the full-scale work for contamination will be started. Now, this is for the demonstration project. As I have just explained, we have to go through several stages, and we have the progress. And for the 5 municipalities from the top, we have already made the preparations, and we will be going into the full-scale works. The earliest will be in August. Decontamination must be done in order to clean up individual houses, as well as cleaning up the land space owned by individuals, which means we need to maintain favorable relationship with the residents, the owners. This is where we place the emphasis and importance. So we have to go through the procedure to gain consent of the residents. As you can see at the left-handmost the box, we need to identify the land ownership. Because the people have evacuated, so we need to search each individuals, and we would have briefing sessions on community by community, and to gain consent from the individual landowners in order to go into their land as well as the house to take measurements. The second box is we need to do the monitoring radiation levels. This is the third box. And because of the earthquake, there has been significant damages. So we also need to ascertain and assess the damages. So based upon the survey results, we will ask the individual owners of houses, if possible, to go to the site and to explain on the methodology of decontamination and obtain their consent for the decontamination. And in gaining the consent, we will, as much as possible, ask them to immediately give us a consent on the site. And then we will go into the process of actual decontamination. We will have monitoring after the decontamination work has been completed, and that will also be reported. So this describes the communication efforts undertaken by us. This is an example from last week. On the top, this is for the areas where national governments are responsible for decontamination. Almost every day, the member of the Fukushima office will go and visit municipalities to meet with the municipal office staffs as well as the residents to have detailed briefing sessions. And at the bottom, you see the areas where the local governments are responsible for decontamination. Starting from April to June, and already 50 times in July and 200 times in April through June. These are the number of times communication that has been undertaken by the local governments.